Picture this. You're a driven entrepreneur, a freelancer hustling to build your brand, or a content creator chasing that next big idea. You've tried every trick in the book, visualizations, affirmations, morning meditations, to become the confident, abundant version of yourself you know you can be. You feel the shift, that electric moment when everything clicks. You're lighter, bolder, ready to conquer. But then, like clockwork, 72 hours later, you're back to square one. The spark's gone, and you're stuck in the same old patterns, wondering what went wrong. This isn't just a slip-up, it's an identity leak. Your subconscious, like an overzealous immune system, snaps you back to your default self, a quantum state cemented by years of habits and choices. It's not your vision boards or mantras failing you, it's your identity fighting to stay unchanged, anchored by what I call quantum inertia. In this video, we're diving into why your efforts to reinvent yourself keep unraveling and what to do instead. Buckle up because we're about to explore quantum consciousness and unlock the secret to making your transformation stick for good.
You're a 30-something entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, grinding through late nights to launch your startup. Or maybe you're a freelancer in Brooklyn, piecing together gigs while dreaming of financial freedom. Perhaps you're a content creator in Austin, pouring your heart into videos that you hope will go viral. You've been at this personal growth game for a while now. Visualization sessions, affirmations scribbled on sticky notes, meditation apps buzzing on your phone. You've had those moments where it all clicks. You sit down, close your eyes, and visualize yourself as the confident, abundant, unstoppable version you know you can be. The energy shifts. You feel lighter, like a weight's been lifted off your chest. Your mind's buzzing with possibility. And for a moment, you're there, living in that new reality. You walk out of that meditation session or journaling sprint feeling like you've cracked the code. This is it, you think. This time, it's different. But then something happens. Maybe it's a few hours later when you're pitching to a client and that old self-doubt creeps in. Or maybe it's the next morning when you check your bank account and feel that familiar knot in your stomach. By day 3, that vibrant, expansive feeling you had, it's gone. Not faded, but gone. Like it never happened. You're back to your old patterns, reacting the same way you always have, wondering why you can't hold on to that spark. Sound familiar? Welcome to the superposition phase, the critical first 72 hours after you've tried to shift your identity. It's the make or break moment where your new self is fighting to exist, and it's where most of us lose the battle without even knowing why. Here's what's going on. When you visualize that dream version of yourself, say the entrepreneur who closes deals effortlessly, or the creator who radiates confidence, you're tapping into a new frequency. It's like tuning your radio to a new station, one that feels vibrant and alive. In that moment, you're not just imagining, you're actually embodying a new state of being. Your body feels it, your energy shifts, and your nervous system registers the change. You're in what quantum physics calls a superposition state, where two realities coexist. The old you, with all its habits and doubts, and the new you, brimming with potential. It's like standing at a crossroads, with one foot in your past and the other in your future. But here's the catch. This new state is fragile, like a house of cards in a windstorm. It hasn't had time to solidify, and your subconscious is still wired to the old you, the one it's known for years. Your subconscious isn't some abstract thing. It's like an overprotective software program, running a constant scan to make sure you're still you. That you is your baseline identity, built from thousands of moments. Every time you hesitated to speak up in a meeting, every time you felt that pang of scarcity when paying a bill, every time you second-guessed your creative ideas. Those moments are like data points, stacking up to form a stable quantum state that your subconscious recognizes as your identity. When you try to shift to a new frequency, you're introducing a glitch in that system. The new you feels amazing, but to your subconscious, it's an intruder. It doesn't match the blueprint it's been guarding for years. And in this superposition phase, where the old and new you are both active, any wrong move can tip the scales back to the old state. The biggest mistake? Checking. You know that moment when you catch yourself thinking, am I still feeling confident? Is this really working? Did I actually change? That's not just self-reflection, it's a trap. In quantum terms, it's called the observer effect. When you observe a quantum state, you force it to collapse into one reality. And guess who's doing the observing? The old you, the one with all the historical baggage. The moment you check if the shift is real, you're handing the reins back to your old identity. It's like you're saying, hey, old self, take a look at this new vibe. Is it legit? And your old self, with decades of data to back it up, says, nope, not you. Boom. Your new frequency collapses and you're back to square one, feeling like you failed again. So how do you navigate this shaky 72-hour window? The rule is simple but brutal. Zero identity checking. No monitoring, no verifying, no comparing how you feel now to how you felt before. If you're that entrepreneur pitching to investors, don't pause to wonder if you're being confident enough. Just pitch. If you're that freelancer negotiating a rate, don't stop to check if you're embodying abundance. Just negotiate. If you're that content creator filming a video, don't question whether you're radiating that new energy. Just hit record and go. The key is to act from the new state without thinking about it. Let it flow naturally, like you're already that person. Every time you act from this new frequency, whether it's making a bold decision, speaking up, or taking a risk, you're unconsciously reinforcing it. These actions are like tiny votes for the new you, building what I call measurement weight in your favor. Think of it like this. Your old identity is like a well-worn path in a forest, trampled down by years of walking the same route. The new frequency is a fresh trail you're trying to carve out. Every action you take from that new state is like clearing a bit more of that trail, making it easier to follow. But if you keep stopping to look back at the old path, wondering if you're still on it or how far you've strayed, you're not moving forward. You're just reinforcing the old route. In this superposition phase, your job is to keep walking the new trail without looking back. Don't analyze it, don't question it, just be it. This is harder than it sounds, especially for driven folks like you, entrepreneurs, freelancers, creators, who are used to analyzing every move. You're wired to optimize, to track progress, to make sure you're on the right path. But in these first 72 hours, that instinct is your enemy. Imagine you're launching a startup and you've just pivoted to a bold new strategy. If you spend every hour questioning whether it's working, you'll paralyze yourself. Instead, you'd execute, trust the vision, and let the results unfold. It's the same with your identity. Execute the new you. Trust the shift. Let it unfold without poking at it. If you can make it through those first 3 days without checking, you're giving the new frequency a fighting chance to take root. Every decision you make, every action you take from that new state adds weight to it. It's like stacking evidence in a court case. Each moment you embody the new you is a piece of testimony that says, this is who I am now. But the second you start doubting, comparing, or monitoring, you're calling the old you to the stand, and it's got a longer track record. Your subconscious will side with the old evidence every time. For example, let's say you're a content creator who's been struggling with imposter syndrome. You do a visualization where you see yourself as a confident, authentic storyteller. You feel it. You're in that zone. You start filming, and for a few hours you're on fire. Then mid-shoot you catch yourself thinking, am I actually pulling this off, or am I just faking it? That thought is a measurement, and it's coming from the old you, the one who's used to feeling like a fraud. In that moment, you've split yourself in two. The new you, trying to shine, and the old you, watching skeptically from the sidelines. The old you wins because it's got years of data to back it up. The new you, it's just a fleeting feeling with no track record yet. The trick is to stay in the new state so completely that there's no room for the old you to sneak in and start judging. It's like method acting. Don't break character. If you're that entrepreneur, don't just act confident in meetings, be confident. If you're that freelancer, don't just try to negotiate like someone abundant, be abundance. If you're that creator, don't just perform authenticity, be authentic. The less you think about being the new you, the more you actually are it. This is how you start to tip the scales, giving the new frequency a chance to build its own momentum. If you can hold that line for 72 hours, something incredible happens. The new state starts to feel less like a performance and more like a possibility. You're not out of the woods yet. That old identity is still lurking, ready to pull you back, but you've made it through the most fragile phase. You've given the new you a foothold, a chance to start rewriting the script. But it's not about effort or willpower. It's about letting go of the need to check, to doubt, to measure. Just be. Keep moving forward, and trust that every step you take in this new frequency is quietly, unconsciously building the foundation for something that can last.
You've made it past the first 72 hours. That initial rush of transformation, the moment you felt like a new version of yourself, whether it was confidence, abundance, or unshakable clarity, hasn't completely faded. You're a driven entrepreneur, a freelancer grinding to level up, a content creator chasing your next big break, or a startup founder betting it all on your vision. You've done the work. The meditations, the visualizations, the affirmations that lit a fire in your soul. You've felt the shift, that electric moment when you were no longer the person who hesitates, doubts, or plays small. But now, 3 days in, you're entering a tricky phase. This is where the real test begins, where the new you starts to feel like it might actually stick, but the old you is still lurking, ready to pull you back. Welcome to the partial decoherence phase, the critical window between 3 and 21 days where your transformation either gains traction or unravels completely. Let's paint the picture. You're walking into a meeting, pitching your startup to investors, or maybe you're filming a video for your YouTube channel. You're carrying yourself differently, shoulders back, voice steady, ideas flowing. You're not just acting confident, you feel it in your bones. This is the new frequency you've tapped into, the one you've been chasing. It's not just a fleeting high, it's starting to feel like the real you. Your subconscious is beginning to register this new state, not as some temporary mood boost, but as something with a bit of weight behind it. Every time you act from this place, making a bold decision, speaking up without second-guessing, or taking a risk without that familiar knot in your stomach, you're reinforcing this new frequency. These are what the science nerds might call unconscious measurements, small automatic actions that start to anchor this new version of you in reality. It's like laying bricks for a new foundation, one choice at a time. But here's where it gets dicey. Your old self, that version of you that's been running the show for years, isn't gone. It's still there, like a shadow trailing just a step behind. It's the voice that whispers doubt when you're about to take a big swing, the reflex that makes you hesitate before sending that email to a potential client, the instinct that tells you to play it safe instead of going all in. This old identity has decades of momentum, built from countless moments of fear, scarcity, or self-doubt. It's not just a mindset, it's a quantum state, a stable configuration of who you've been, reinforced by years of choices, reactions, and habits. And right now, it's fighting to stay in charge. The new frequency you're embodying, it's gaining ground, but it's still fragile, like a seedling trying to take root in rocky soil. One wrong move, and the old you can yank you back to square one. The biggest threat in this phase isn't some external failure. It's you. Specifically, it's the urge to check on your progress, to verify that this new version of you is working. You know that feeling. You're crushing it, feeling on top of the world, and then you catch yourself thinking, wow, I've been so confident this week. Is this really me now? Is this gonna last? That moment of reflection seems innocent, like you're just being self-aware, making sure you're on track. But here's the brutal truth. Every time you check, you're sabotaging yourself. You're not just observing your progress, you're measuring it. And in the weird world of quantum consciousness, measuring something changes it. By checking, you're splitting yourself into two.
The new you who's trying to take root, and the old you who's standing there with a clipboard, evaluating whether this change is legit. Guess who's got more power in that moment? The old you, with years of data backing it up, steps in as the observer, and just like that, the new frequency starts to wobble. This temptation to verify is like a siren call for entrepreneurs and creators like you. You're used to tracking metrics, click-through rates, revenue goals, follower counts. You thrive on data, on knowing whether your hustle is paying off. So naturally, you want to track your personal growth too. You want to know if this new confidence is sticking, if you're really becoming the bold, abundant version of yourself you've been working toward. But here's the kicker. Every time you check, you're handing the reins back to your old identity. You're saying, hey, old me, take a look at this new me and tell me if it's real. And your old identity, with its deep-rooted habits of doubt or caution, responds by pulling you back to what it knows best. It's not that you're failing, it's that you're accidentally hitting the reset button by observing yourself through the lens of who you used to be. So what do you do instead? You stop caring. Not in a give-up, throw-in-the-towel way, but in a radical, liberating way. You have to forget you even made a shift. Sounds counterintuitive, right? You've spent all this time and energy to become this new version of yourself, and now I'm telling you to act like it never happened. But hear me out. The goal in this phase is to let the new frequency become so normal, so second nature, that you don't even notice it anymore. Think about it. You don't wake up every morning checking if you're still yourself, do you? You don't question whether you're still the person who loves coffee or gets annoyed in traffic. That's because those traits are your baseline. They're automatic, wired into who you are. The new you, the one who's bold enough to pitch to investors or launch that dream project, needs to become just as automatic. And that only happens if you stop treating it like something special, something you need to monitor. Imagine you're a content creator filming a video that's going viral. You're in the zone, delivering your message with confidence, not overthinking every word. That's the new frequency at work. Now, if you pause mid-shoot to think, am I being charismatic enough? Is this really working? You'll stumble. You'll lose the flow because you've stepped out of being the confident creator and into analyzing the confident creator. The same thing happens with your identity shift. Every time you pause to check if you're still on, you're stepping out of the new state and back into the old one. The trick is to keep moving, keep acting from this new place, making decisions, taking risks, speaking up without stopping to evaluate whether it's working. Each time you do this, you're adding weight to the new frequency, like stacking bricks to build a stronger foundation. You're training your subconscious to see this new state as normal, not as some experiment you're trying out. By the end of these 3 weeks, if you can resist the urge to check, to compare, to measure, you'll start to notice something wild. The new you isn't new anymore. It's just you. And that's when you're on the verge of something permanent, something the quantum nerds call field lock. But you're not there yet. You've got to stay vigilant, not by watching yourself, but by forgetting you're even trying to change.
You've been at it for weeks now, pushing through the grind as a driven entrepreneur, a freelancer carving your own path, a content creator pouring your heart into every post, or a startup founder betting it all on your big idea. You've done the work. Meditations, visualizations, maybe even those late-night journaling sessions where you poured your vision for the person you want to be. You fought the urge to second-guess yourself, resisted the temptation to check if this new version of you, confident, abundant, unshakably clear, is sticking. And now something incredible is happening. After 21 days of showing up as this new you, of making bold moves without overthinking, of taking risks without that old familiar knot in your stomach, you're not just acting different, you are different. Welcome to the field lock phase, the moment when the new you isn't new anymore. It's just you, plain and simple, like it's always been this way. Imagine this. You're pitching your startup to a room full of investors, and the words flow effortlessly. You're not psyching yourself up, not reminding yourself to be confident. You're just there, owning the room, your voice steady, your ideas sharp. Or maybe you're a content creator filming a video for your growing audience. You're not wondering if you're coming across as authentic or charismatic. You're just delivering, fully present, every word landing with impact. This isn't a performance. It's not something you're trying to pull off. It's who you are now, as natural as breathing. That's what Field Lock feels like, the new frequency you've been working toward. Whether it's confidence, abundance, or clarity, has become your default setting. Your subconscious, the part of you that used to snap you back to doubt or scarcity, now recognizes this new state as your baseline. It's not something you're doing, it's something you are. This phase, which kicks in around day 21 and stretches beyond, is where the magic happens. You've crossed a threshold where the new you doesn't require maintenance. You don't need to remind yourself to act bold or think big. You don't need to check if you're still on. It's automatic, wired into your being like muscle memory. Think about how you don't question whether you're still the person who loves a good burger or gets a rush from closing a deal. Those traits are just part of you, no effort required. That's what's happening now with this new frequency. It's not a shiny new toy you're playing with. It's your foundation, your default mode. You're not trying to be confident, you're just confident. You're not chasing abundance, you're living it. And the best part? You don't even notice it's happening because it feels so damn normal. What's wild about this phase is how the old you, the one who hesitated, doubted, or played small, starts to feel like a distant memory, like it belonged to someone else entirely. Picture yourself as a freelancer sitting down to negotiate a contract. In the past, you might have lowballed your rates, worried about seeming too pushy. Now, you name your price with ease, not because you're forcing it, but because it's just what you do. If someone mentions how much you've changed, you're almost confused. Changed? This is just who you are now. That old version, the one who second-guessed every move or felt unworthy of success, feels like a character from a movie you watched years ago. It's not part of your reality anymore. It's not something you reference or compare yourself to. It's irrelevant, like an outdated phone you traded in for a better model. This shift happens because you've stopped observing yourself. Back in the earlier phases, the biggest trap was checking your progress, wondering if the new you was sticking. Every time you did that, you risked snapping back to your old patterns. But now, you're not checking. You're not analyzing if you're being different or better. You're just being. There's no meta-awareness, no voice in your head saying, "Wow, I'm really killing it with this confidence thing." That voice is gone because there's no need for it. The new frequency isn't something you're tracking, it's the lens you see the world through. It's like wearing glasses for the first time. At first, you notice how clear everything is, but after a while, you forget you're even wearing them. That's what full integration looks like. The new you isn't a project anymore. It's your reality. Let's get real for a second. As a driven American go-getter, whether you're building a business in Silicon Valley, freelancing from a coffee shop in Brooklyn, or creating content from your home studio in Austin, this is the phase you've been chasing. You didn't just want to feel good for a week or two. You wanted to become the person who closes deals, launches products, and shows up unapologetically in every room. And now, you're there. You're making decisions without that old hesitation, taking risks without that nagging fear of failure. You're not thinking about how to be bold, you're just doing it, whether it's pitching a new client, posting a vulnerable video, or saying no to a deal that doesn't align with your vision. This is the payoff for all those early mornings spent meditating, all those moments you chose to act despite the doubt. Your subconscious has rewired itself to see this new frequency as your default, and it's running the show without you needing to micromanage it. But here's what makes this phase so powerful. It's not just about the new you becoming automatic. It's about the old you losing its grip entirely. You don't even think about the person you used to be, the one who doubted their worth, the one who played small to avoid rejection, the one who felt stuck in scarcity. That version of you doesn't just fade, it becomes irrelevant. If someone brings up how you used to be, you might nod, but it doesn't resonate. It's like they're talking about a stranger. You don't compare yourself to that old version because there's no point. You're not measuring your progress against who you were, you're just living as who you are now. This is what the quantum geeks call field lock. Your new frequency has enough weight, enough momentum to hold its own. It's not fighting against years of old habits anymore, it's replaced them. The key to getting here was letting go of the need to monitor yourself. As a high achiever, you're wired to track everything, your revenue, your follower count, your KPIs. But in this phase, you had to ditch that mindset. You had to stop treating your transformation like a project with a progress bar. Every time you resisted the urge to check if you were still
on, you gave the new frequency room to breathe, to take root. You let it become your baseline by acting as if it already was, by making bold moves without questioning if you were ready. And now it's paying off. You're not just acting like a confident entrepreneur or a fearless creator. You are one. Your subconscious has bought in, and it's running the new program automatically. This doesn't mean you're perfect. You'll still hit bumps, tough clients, failed launches, or days when the grind feels heavy. But those moments don't pull you back to the old you. They don't trigger that spiral of doubt or fear. You handle them from this new place with a clarity and strength that feels effortless. You're not fighting to stay confident or abundant. You're just responding to life as this new version of yourself. And when you look back, you might realize you can't even remember why you ever thought you needed to change. That's the beauty of Field Lock. The old struggles, the old doubts, the old you, they're not just gone. They're irrelevant. You're not a better version of yourself. You're just yourself, fully integrated, living from a frequency that feels like home.
You've finally done it. You're a driven entrepreneur closing deals with unshakable confidence, a freelancer setting your rates without a flicker of doubt, a content creator pouring your heart into every post with effortless authenticity, or startup founder pitching your vision like it's already a reality. You've hit the Field Lock phase. Your new frequency, whether it's abundance, clarity, or boldness, isn't just a fleeting vibe anymore. It's you, woven into the fabric of your daily life, as natural as your morning coffee or the way you hustle through a packed schedule. You're not second-guessing yourself, not checking to see if you're still on. The old you, the one who hesitated, played small, or lived in scarcity, feels like a stranger, a ghost from a life you barely remember. But just when you think you've cracked the code, there's a twist. Even this new, improved you, this shiny, upgraded version, is still holding you back. Welcome to the null identity state, the radical idea that true freedom isn't about becoming a better you, it's about letting go of any fixed identity altogether. Let's set the scene. You're killing it. Your startup's gaining traction, your YouTube channel's blowing up, or your freelance gigs are paying better than ever. You walk into rooms, virtual or real, and people notice. You're not just acting confident, you're radiating it. You're making decisions, taking risks, and creating from a place of flow. This is the dream, right? You've become the person you always wanted to be. But here's the thing. Even this version of you, as incredible as it feels, is still a box. It's a polished, high-performing box, sure, but it's a box nonetheless. Every fixed identity, no matter how upgraded, comes with limits. It's like upgrading from a beat-up sedan to a sleek Tesla. You're moving faster, smoother, but you're still confined by the shape of the car. What if you could ditch the car entirely and move through the world unbound, free to respond to every moment without being tethered to a specific version of yourself? That's what the null identity state is all about. Think about it. As an entrepreneur, you might now identify as someone who's bold, decisive, and successful. That's powerful, but it's still a label. It's a story you're telling yourself about who you are. And stories, even the best ones, have edges. They define you, which means they also limit you. What happens when a situation calls for vulnerability instead of boldness, or patience instead of hustle? If you're locked into this new identity, you might miss the mark, forcing yourself to act from a script that doesn't quite fit. The null identity state flips this on its head. It's not about crafting a better story. It's about stepping out of the story altogether. It's about operating from a place of pure presence, where you're not defined by any fixed traits, not even the good ones. You're not confident, not abundant, not bold. You're just you, raw and unfiltered, responding to each moment as it comes. This idea might sound wild, especially for high achievers like you. You're used to setting goals, tracking progress, and building a personal brand that screams success. You've worked hard to become this new version of yourself, and now I'm saying to let it go? But hear me out.
The null identity state isn't about giving up your drive or your wins. It's about accessing a kind of freedom that lets you move through life with infinite flexibility. In the quantum world, this is called operating from superposition, a state where you're not pinned down to any single configuration. You're not locked into being the confident entrepreneur or the creative visionary. You're a field of potential, capable of being whatever the moment demands. Need to be bold? You're bold. Need to listen? You listen. Need to pivot your entire business model? You pivot without the baggage of, this isn't who I am. Let's bring it to life. Imagine you're a content creator about to go live on Instagram to share a new project. In your old identity, you might have frozen, worried about looking polished or saying the right thing. In your field-locked identity, you'd nail it with confidence, delivering a message that resonates. But in the null identity state, you don't even think about how you're showing up. You just go live, speaking from the heart, adjusting on the fly if the audience throws you a curveball. You're not trying to be authentic, you're just present, responding to the moment without filtering it through some predefined idea of who you are. Or say you're an entrepreneur negotiating a deal. Instead of leaning on your confident identity, you read the room, sensing when to push and when to pull back, all without second-guessing. You're not acting from a script. You're flowing with the situation, untethered by any fixed sense of self. This is what quantum freedom looks like. In the earlier phases, you were fighting against identity leaks, where your old self kept pulling you back. But in the null identity state, there's nothing to leak because there's no fixed identity to hold on to. You're not trying to protect a specific version of yourself because you're not defined by any version at all. It's like being water, shapeless and adaptable, taking the form of whatever container the moment provides. This doesn't mean you're aimless or without purpose. You're still building your business, creating content, or launching startups, but you're doing it from a place of pure responsiveness, unburdened by the need to be anything specific. You're not a confident entrepreneur. You're just doing what needs to be done, moment by moment, with a clarity that feels almost supernatural. For you, the 20 or 30-something hustler, hustling through the gig economy or startup world, this can feel like a game changer. You're used to defining yourself by your achievements, your follower count, your revenue, your brand, but those definitions, even the empowering ones, can become cages. The null identity state lets you keep the hustle without being chained to it. You can pitch to investors, launch a product, or post a viral video, all while staying open to whatever comes next. Maybe the market shifts, and your startup needs a complete overhaul. In a fixed identity, you might resist, clinging to your vision of who you are as a founder. But in the null state, you adapt without drama, because you're not tied to any one way of being. You're free to create, pivot, or even fail, without it shaking your core. This is what quantum freedom looks like. In the earlier phases, you were fighting against identity leaks, where your old self kept pulling you back. But in the null identity state, there's nothing to leak because there's no fixed identity to hold on to. You're not trying to protect a specific version of yourself because you're not defined by any version at all. It's like being water, shapeless and adaptable, taking the form of whatever container the moment provides. This doesn't mean you're aimless or without purpose. You're still building your business, creating content, or launching startups, but you're doing it from a place of pure responsiveness, unburdened by the need to be anything specific. You're not a confident entrepreneur. You're just doing what needs to be done, moment by moment, with a clarity that feels almost supernatural. For you, the 20 or 30-something hustler, hustling through the gig economy or startup world, this can feel like a game changer. You're used to defining yourself by your achievements, your follower count, your revenue, your brand, but those definitions, even the empowering ones, can become cages. The null identity state lets you keep the hustle without being chained to it. You can pitch to investors, launch a product, or post a viral video, all while staying open to whatever comes next. Maybe the market shifts, and your startup needs a complete overhaul.
In a fixed identity, you might resist, clinging to your vision of who you are as a founder. But in the null state, you adapt without drama, because you're not tied to any one way of being. You're free to create, pivot, or even fail, without it shaking your core. This is what quantum freedom looks like. In the earlier phases, you were fighting against identity leaks, where your old self kept pulling you back. But in the null identity state, there's nothing to leak because there's no fixed identity to hold on to. You're not trying to protect a specific version of yourself because you're not defined by any version at all. It's like being water, shapeless and adaptable, taking the form of whatever container the moment provides. This doesn't mean you're aimless or without purpose. You're still building your business, creating content, or launching startups, but you're doing it from a place of pure responsiveness, unburdened by the need to be anything specific. You're not a confident entrepreneur. You're just doing what needs to be done, moment by moment, with a clarity that feels almost supernatural. For you, the 20 or 30-something hustler, hustling through the gig economy or startup world, this can feel like a game changer. You're used to defining yourself by your achievements, your follower count, your revenue, your brand. But those definitions, even the empowering ones, can become cages. The null identity state lets you keep the hustle without being chained to it. You can pitch to investors, launch a product, or post a viral video, all while staying open to whatever comes next. Maybe the market shifts, and your startup needs a complete overhaul. In a fixed identity, you might resist, clinging to your vision of who you are as a founder. But in the null state, you adapt without drama, because you're not tied to any one way of being. You're free to create, pivot, or even fail, without it shaking your core. This is what quantum freedom looks like. In the earlier phases, you were fighting against identity leaks, where your old self kept pulling you back. But in the null identity state, there's nothing to leak.
You've been on a wild ride, haven't you? As an entrepreneur, freelancer, content creator, or startup founder, you've poured everything into becoming the best version of yourself. Confident, abundant, unstoppable. You fought through doubt, rewired your subconscious, and maybe even hit that field lock where your new frequency feels like home. But here's the truth that changes everything. Even that upgraded you is just a snapshot, a single frame in the infinite movie of who you can be. You're not a fixed identity, not a set of traits or achievements. You're a field of consciousness, a living, breathing space of infinite potential. Stop trying to pin yourself down as the successful founder or the bold creator. Those labels, even the shiny ones, are cages. True freedom comes when you let go of the need to define yourself at all. Imagine moving through life as pure presence, showing up to every pitch, every video, every decision with no script, just raw, unfiltered responsiveness to the moment. That's your quantum nature, not a wave locked into one shape, but a field of endless possibilities. Embrace it. Let go of the need to be anything specific and watch how effortlessly you float through challenges, opportunities, and wins. Want to dive deeper into unlocking this freedom? Hit that subscribe button, join our community on YouTube, and let's keep exploring how to live as your infinite self.